we always talk back to how we first met, right, and how many years in the vision. I remember meeting our next guest 20-something years ago when it was just a dream, and here we are.
I think we got 30. We got 30, right?
And here we are celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, but not just that.
Yeah.
We're celebrating 25 years of allhiphop.com.
All day.
So we would like to introduce to the plaza this morning, Mr. Grouchy Greg, founder of HipHop.com.
What's up?
What's up, y'all? Is the Truth from Delaware Art Museum. Welcome, brothers.
And Gorilla Republic.
And
Gotta give them yes.
Got to, for sure.
That's where I know him from, Gorilla Republic, right? So shout out, brothers. Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it. It's a blessing and an honor to have both y'all here.
Oh, man, thank you for having us. DETV has always been a big supporter. Big Ive has always held it down. Shaq, you've been my guy for, like you said, many decades. I don't want to age myself. But, we go way back. All three of us do. Known Iz for probably over 20 years as well. So grateful to be amongst a table of great minds.
Oh, my gosh, man. And you know what? I just love both of these brothers right here, right? And I could go on. I could have a whole show just about my gratitude to both of them, right? And watching how they took an idea, and made it into just what it is now. Super proud of my man Iz. He's down there changing the Delaware Art Museum to what it is now, and you got more people. And matter of fact, forget me talking about it. Iz, won't you talk about what's going on in the Delaware Art Museum?
I mean, I'm here. I'm grateful to be among us, number one, because I know the one thing we all had in common is being the underdog. And being, underestimated in our passion, and meaning the fact, what do we mean to our people and what do we mean to our community? And that's, with that being said, that's what we're doing here. We're cultivating the culture around here. We're the farmers of the land, we're the farmers around our inner cities, and we have to do it in a different form, and we do it in the form of arts. That's why the Delaware Art Museum has opened their door, because they understand the fact, we need to reflect our city. We need to reflect the voices that we hear. We need to reflect all the people too, especially among the culture. That's why we have to. And I'm very grateful that we're taking, a spearhead when it comes to the arts and culture, especially here in the whole state of Delaware. Somebody's got to break that barrier. So we might as well do it together as brothers, and to our sisters out there too as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of breaking barriers, right? Coming up next Saturday, October the 7th, is the HipHop Cultural Summit at the Delaware Arts Museum, right? I recall several weeks ago we had the Jet Phoenix Dirty Popcorn Film Festival. There's been a noticeable shift in culture coming to the Delaware Arts Museum. Yo, speaking of breaking barriers, how were you able to make that happen? Because I'm sure it wasn't an easy fight when you first went in and said, I want to start doing these events that talk to my people. I'm sure you was met with some resistance. So just talk about the journey to get from there to here today.
I mean, one time, as a people, as us, we have to be a pebble in people's shoes, And it doesn't matter how small you are. Sometimes you have to agitate those so they can understand what's really affecting. I'm here like Brother Ivan, one thing that you put out there a long time ago is love. And meaning the fact, how do we include our community? How do we show our people that we love them actually? And that's when you have to be willing to sacrifice what you can. And I've been there at the institution now, at the Delaware Art Museum for about 20 years now, but starting from the bottom. The very bottom, as a porter and as a person that, I continue to see my vision, but at the same time, realizing that, maybe if I can't change the institution, maybe I could change around it. So I started, organizing among the city, specifically, because there's no way you can stop passion. We know, this is why even hip-hop here is around, because when hip-hop started, nobody believed in us. Everybody told us we were a fad. Everybody and realizing that we came from the poorest district in the whole entire United States, the Bronx. If people need to look that up, you talk about people who have passion. And you know what? And sometimes you have to go through that to understand what it is, what you need to do so you can feed others. So that's why, when we bringing these things to life, it's not about just art. It's about making sure we bring the legacy to our people, the existence, that they matter. I want to make sure that, when they read about us 50 years from now, and it's not just about us, but great contributors like Grouchy Greg, like himself. We all know he changed the world when he brought hip-hop to the internet, changed it. Look how people look at it now. Something that even hit me when I first met him, he impacted me. I was just like, I need to organize like that brother, but that brother made an impact on the internet where other people can view it, where, they don't have access to come here to the city. So I wanted to make sure, and I'm very grateful as a mentor that he's been, meaning the fact as a leader, the examples that he's led, but at the same time, the amount of love that he's given to people to grow, because it's about that. It's about bringing economics to our people where, like I said, sometimes people forget about the fact that we have to do this together. It ain't about just you. It affects us, all of us. And when we start understanding that, me as an indigenous brother, that is the law for us. Family first, and our family is our community.
Nice. Beautiful, man.
It's hard to follow
Yeah,
that.
follow that, Grouchy. Right. And Grouchy, 25 years, man. And I remember when you first came out, and I know it was, talking to you and Chuck offline, and just listening to some of the stories that you guys were catching, going to New York, back and forth, when no one believed in it, but y'all did. Like, can you tell the people, like when you first started all hip hop, right? What that passion is about? Because what we like to use this platform, man, is to motivate and encourage others, And tell us what that passion was like back then and where it is now with all hip hop.
Yeah, well, I mean, the passion. First of all, the passion is still there. When you really love something, it's natural. That's why for all the young people out there, we always tell you to pursue your passion, because it's not a job for you. This isn't a job for Chuck and I. This is what we enjoy doing. And so, I mean, starting it early on, it was very difficult because, as Brother Iz said, hip hop was not really on the internet in the form that we brought it.
Right.
And, it was difficult to get, artists and people in the music business to really understand and open up to the internet, because believe it or not, magazines were still popular at the time.
Yeah.
Not to mention, this was all being funded out of our pockets. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there were many nights of digging in couch cushions for quarters to get money to go get a $1 hamburger from McDonald's.
In New York?
No, in Delaware.
Oh, in Delaware,
yeah,
okay.
Because I never left Delaware.
Okay.
I've always lived here.
Right.
And my hustle was that Greyhound station right there. Everybody at the Greyhound station knew me and knows me, from taking the bus back and forth. The Amtrak people all knew me. That's where I met Joe Biden, going back and forth on the train. We would see each other all the time in the morning.
Right.
And I mean, it was a real grind. I mean, there were plenty of times where, I was in New York City with nothing to eat, and just waiting to come home so I could eat something. You know what I mean? And then eventually, people caught up to the internet and we had our breakthroughs, and, where here we are on 25 years later.
Congratulations, man. That's huge, man.
Yeah, and still getting nominated. I mean,
I
all
saw,
due respect,
man.
nominated for best, hip hop platform by BET.
Yeah.
So, for that to happen 25 years later is a testament to the passion that both my partner, Chuck Jigsaw, have for this, but also the employees and the people that we work with, because it's definitely a team effort.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so what brings us here today is that we're always going to celebrate the 25 years, but you got something going on at the Delaware Art that is going to change, again, the perception and change Delaware, and that's October 7th. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I linked up with Brother Iz. I had an idea to do an event at the Delaware Art Museum to celebrate hip-hop culture, but not just nationally, also locally. So, this event delves into the 5 elements of hip-hop, breakdancing, graffiti, rapping, turntablism, and then knowledge, which is the 5th element. And we've curated an event that centers around all 5 of those things all day at the Art Museum. So we've got some incredible guests coming that I'm sure we'll get into in a minute. But, I really want to make sure the local community understands that this is a celebration of hip hop on a national level, but the focus really at the Art Museum is going to be on the contributions the local artists have going back to, say, 75 in Delaware, all the way, and we've stopped it at like 95.
Okay.
Because this is going to be an ongoing event.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Is it going to be?
Yeah, and each year we're going to celebrate a different decade, but we
Okay.
had to start with the pioneers in hip hop and the pioneers in Delaware hip hop.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when people get inside the art museum and see some of the stuff that we've unearthed and surfaced,
Yeah.
I think the local community is going to be proud.
Yeah.
And, you know, quite frankly, because there's not really an organization here in Delaware that surfaces the history of what happened in Delaware in the 70s and 80s regarding hip hop culture, a lot of people don't even know some of this stuff.
Right.
So it's going to be dope.
I remember back in the day, Shaq, one of the biggest, and I'm gonna ask everyone this question, right? One of the biggest moments of hip hop that I remember was Grand G.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He'll be there. Well, he's going to be Skyping in.
Yeah. So my question to you, to all of you, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
I think for me, when I came to the States, you know, coming from Peru, my family, we were the first people, the first Peruvian family up in Flatbush, Church Ave in Brooklyn, New York. And we didn't really have a way of, you know, creating funds because of our status. So me and my brothers would breakdance on Church Ave, you know, back in the days. And it was just part of our culture. It was just part of the way we, you know, we moved. But it was intriguing. But we fell in love with it because we were living it. You know, so wherever we looked on the subways going to school to Coney Island, it mattered, you know, but I didn't realize that the rest of the world was paying attention in that form. I just felt that was life, but you had to earn your right, you know, to be on the mic. You had to earn your right to represent for the culture. So it was a lot different back then because, you know, back then you had to prove yourself. Now, you know, we got the internet that opens up avenues for many people to be heard, but there were trials back then.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that, you know, the story that we're telling at the Delaware Art Museum for this hip-hop summit, we want our youth and our people out there to understand the beginning and the reason and the purpose of why hip-hop culture was created, because it was meant to voice our community. It was meant to voice what the issues were going on in our neighborhoods, you know, especially facing police brutality issues, facing poverty issues, facing conditions that, you know, we had to go through. And the mission with this, I'm just going to be honest, you know, apart from this, I want people to recognize something that hip-hop culture is more than just a culture. It is a lifestyle, it is a living, and it's breathing. And I want our school institutions to open up their doors with the curriculum, because I want them to understand that, you know, after 50 years, and we contribute $33 billion a year in hip-hop culture alone around the world, it's time for there to be school scholarships for young producers, for young breakers, you know, for young MCs. Think about it, if our School of Arts here in the Delaware started opening the doors, how many of us would start eating, especially among our community, especially among black and brown, something that, you know, naturally has come to us, but yet continue to exist and grow among other cultures too as well, because this is all of us. That's the whole point of hip-hop. Hip, you know, is to be the knowledge, and the hop is the movement. So let's continue to educate our youth, our future, because we're going to be here more longer than 50 years.
Right, right.
Yeah, man, I know the exact moment for me.
What was that?
You know, I was in 5th grade, and I had always been cognizant of music. You know, my parents had records around, Sam Cooke, The Drifters, you know, MTV was just getting popping. I don't even think MTV at this point was even on 24 hours a day yet. You know, it was on for a limited amount of time. So, you know, the only exposure we really had to, you know, I guess urban music would be Power 99, you know what I mean? BJ in the Morning. I'm going way back.
You're going way back, man.
Right. And so, you know, one day I live in an area down in Newark called Brookside, and my development, I could go over a bridge and be in Kimberton, what we call K-Town.
K-Town,
You know, little Section 8 area back there, and I rode my bike in, and I saw a circle. And I was like, man, what's going on in there? You know, I busted my way in through the circle, and it was breakdancing. And that was it.
That was it.
That was it. The clothes, the fashion, the way everything looked. I mean, it's still one of those memories that's seared into my brain, you know what I mean? And from there, it was on and popping, no pun intended. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I was all in with breakdancing. I was breaking. You know, I went to my first Run DMC concert at Dickinson High School when I was in 5th grade. You know what I mean? That was probably, I don't even want to say the year, but I'll say it was probably like 85. You know what I mean?
Because they was popping then.
And, you know, I was there at that event. It's a legendary event in the annals of Delaware history, hip-hop history, you know what I mean? But, you know, from there, it was just on. You know, it was hip-hop all from that point forward. You know, even right down to understanding that this was going to be the career path that I was going to take, because I always knew, even, before I even started rapping, that I wanted to do something in the music business,
Right.
just from reading the labels of my parents' records,
Yeah.
and getting an understanding of, who these artists were and who owned what record label and all that stuff. And so by the time I was in high school, I was already putting out records on my own little record label. We had a nice little buzz in the state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then by the time I got out of high school, our records were being reviewed in Billboard, and we were getting forward momentum, and then the internet hit, and that was it. That was it.
Dope.
Yeah.
So for me, and you speak about giving age, I'll give my age,
All right.
right? I was born in 75 on Cedar Avenue in the Bronx, New York. For those that know, talking about hip-hop history, Kool Herc started all of this in 73 on Cedric is right there, right? So for me, hip-hop was already being infused into my DNA before I even realized it, right? From the first time I ever saw Slick Rick, it was in a pizza shop, and he had on a full mink with a nameplate, and I'm like, yo, who's this dude? I didn't even know about rap, that he was rapping at the time. To the next time I see him on Fordham in the cherry red Benz, and I'm like, wow, that's Slick Rick, right? So I was seeing it and not understanding it. But what made me fall in love with it, right? And I make reference to Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Delaware Plug, because I was one of those stereotypes. I was growing up, single parent, just my mom's raising me in the Bronx during the crack era. So like a lot of other people, I was looking for role models and mentors in people that I'm seeing on TV, and rappers became that. And for me, Heavy D. When I saw a big Jamaican light-skinned dude that could get up, dance, rap, have confidence and all that, it made me feel different. Like, yo, if he could do it, I could do it. And the thing was, before the internet and everything, we weren't seeing reflections of us on TV.
Right.
So for me to see that in a rapper, it really made me fall in love with it. And even I've carried that flag forever. So
Right.
I am honored to host this event coming up next Saturday, allhiphop.com's Cultural Summit. Like, it's just going to be a celebration of the culture,
Yeah.
the 50 years that we've been here, the 25 years that you've been here, and where we're all going in the future. So salute to y'all for that, man. I mean that.
Let's talk about these guests who you got on the lineup
Yeah.
Before we get out of here. They give me the airplane sign.
All right. We got Grandmaster Caz,
Nice.
who is one of the founders of the Cold Crush Brothers.
Yeah, man.
He's also known for writing part of Rapper's Delight. Big Bang Hank used his
Yeah.
lyrics. We've got Sha Rock,
She mean.
pioneering
She mean.
female MC,
Yeah.
from the Funky 4+1. We got Grand Wizard Theodore,
Yeah.
who is he was tutored by Grandmaster Flash, but he invented scratching.
Scratching. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're not
He's
playing
gonna
with
be
this
doing
lineup,
Don't
man.
forget Joe.
Exhibit. Yeah, we got Joe Conzo, born in the Bronx. Isn't that what his book is titled?
Yeah, Born in the Bronx, which is on, we have the 3rd edition now at the store, so.
Y'all not playing with this lineup. This is a mean lineup.
We got my partner, Chuck Creekmer. He's
Yeah.
going to be moderating the panel.
Yeah.
We got Young Guru. He's going to come through and be on the panel.
Nice.
We got Hezekiah. We got
Crazy
Richard
producer.
Raw.
Richard Raw, Abundance Child.
We got the founder of Tomorrow's Gold Records, Troy Husser, who put out Project X. So that's the label that Grand G was on.
Yeah.
And I felt it was important to bring him because, Grand and all those, Grand and Fred G and, those guys get the props because they were the artists. But this is the dude who had the vision to put out the label.
Wow.
Put it out as a label.
Yeah.
So he's going to come and explain the story behind Project X. Grand G is going to be calling in, so he's going to be there. He's got to go do a event for his nonprofit in Houston, but he's going to be there representing. My younger brother, Markitect, on the panel,
Yeah.
no nepotism there.
No.
He legitimately
He's an artist.
Yeah, but he
He's
put out
serious.
his first record in 1993.
Yeah.
You know what I
He was
mean?
making a paper early in the game in
Making a
Delaware. I
paper
remember
early,
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else?
We got the Hip Hop Fundamentals,
Hip-Hop
a whole
Fundamentals.
breaking squad that's coming through to represent for the culture too. We got Jabbar Brown too, who's going to be displaying the hip hop and comic books and showing the children what to do as well. We also got T. Eric Monroe. If you ever seen or picked up a Vibe magazine or back then, or a Source, pretty much at the same time, Brother T. He's the brother who gave you those images, and he'll be present too as well with some of those images to show you. And trust me, we want people to understand the bridge, the foundation, the culture, but at the same time to know, what it is than what it took, you know, to make this come alive. But I do love, you know, if everybody could come through and pay their respects, because this is an amazing opportunity and an amazing moment to meet those that helped start this foundation as well. Joe Conzo will be doing a book signing, you know, for anybody who's out there who's interested. That is a book that you're gonna wanna have in your collection. Born in the Bronx, it's been sold out twice. Also keep in mind he is a 9/11 hero too as well. So you'll definitely get to see some history, some culture, but at the same time, give thanks to all hip hop for 25 years for not giving up.
Salute.
On themselves.
Salute.
Thank you.
Love it. Look, guys, thanks again for coming, man. Really appreciate it. I tell you what, this is your camera. You got like 15 seconds.
All right, let me just say one thing. I can't leave out my boys Flex and Hated. They're going to be here. They produced #1 records for Danity Kane, and it would weigh on my conscience
Understood,
if I left
bro.
them off.
No.
But I would just say October 7th is going to be a full day of hip-hop culture celebration. We got 2 DJs, DJ Soulbuck, DJ Fred Ones. They're going to be providing the music all day. There's food trucks. So it's going to be a day of education, but it's also going to be a party at the Art Museum.
And register. It's free for the people, but I need you to register at allhiphop/50.
allhiphop.com/50.
Yeah, and it's free for the people, like I said, the summit. So I want people to sit down and be educated. This is going from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You don't want to miss this. Feel free to check out, like I said, allhiphop.com/50 for the lineup of the day.
I love it. I love it. Boy.
Popping.
These guys, man. These
a great way to
these
start
damn
it out this
community
Wednesday
heroes.
morning.
And you know what I love about Grouchy, man? He didn't make it and just said, y'all on your own. He made it and came back.
Stayed.
You know what I mean? There's been plenty of times when I started DETV, I would call Grouchy. And I'm always going to give you props on this one, fam, because you didn't have to do it. But you did it, man, and you did it aimlessly, and you did it like, we fam. I used to call him, I used to text him and like, yo, I gotta, I had some questions, like how to get started in this. And he would like, yo, meet me in Newark, right? And that was his spot. Meet me in Newark at this spot on Main Street. And we would sit there and he would just rap and he would just like effortlessly give me, some, one, encouragement, and 2, like how to do it, right? So thank you for that, bro. I really, from the bottom top of my heart, thank you, because you didn't. But what happened when he did that to me, now I get a chance to do it to somebody else. So that's how it goes full circle.
No doubt.
You're gonna pause again. All right, they're gonna pause. Look,
You had to
he had to throw it in there.
Pause. No, my fault.
Look, guys, thanks again for coming. Look, we'll be right back. Allison David of the Claymont Community Center is in the building to talk about the event that they have coming up, that she has coming up, and I can't wait to talk to her. You ready?
Ready, let's
All right,
do it.
let's take a break. We'll be back in. I want to say 2 and 2, but they might sue me, so we're going to say 3 and 3. Yeah. All right.
Okay.